mic was muted. You just had to press.
Okay, now I think there's sound. Woohoo! Haha. There we go. There we go. Alrighty, well, welcome back. Now there's sound. It was actually that the mic was muted and not that the mic was not attached. Very, very exciting. So now we have mood lighting back behind there. We have blocked out this window, so I now no longer look like I am being lit by the sun itself. So we're becoming increasingly professional. Audible Zeta. Yes, an Audible Zeta is either an improvement or not an improvement, I suppose, depending on your viewpoint. I right before stream started found Zach crashed on the living room sofa, so he may have had a long night in the living room. So hopefully he'll get a little time to wake up before we get our first digit in the puzzle. This was our effort to get the lights as purple as possible. We will see, because the wall behind them is blue, which made it hard to make them full-on carnival cake. The lights seem to be blinking. Am I imagining that the lights are blinking? Maybe Tristan is making the lights blink. I can't tell. Are the lights actually blinking? I think the lights aren't actually blinking, but it looks like they're blinking on my screen. But when I turn and look at the lights, they don't actually appear to be blinking, although they look like they're blinking on camera. Hopefully that is not too infuriating. But yes, we tried to maximize the amount of carnival cake in the lights, but because the wall behind them are blue, it did not quite work that. 57 Thorns guesses it's probably a compression thing. It probably is. Probably also need to like work overtime on getting the camera more centered, but we'll get it. It's improving. It's improving. So let us have a look at the rules of the puzzle we're starting with today. So as always, we'll start with the puzzle in the bucket with the most votes. Today, this is the puzzle Tunnel Vision by Agent. This has been voted for by Woofer, Doomdiat, Luda, Josh, Russ, David, and DDX. So thank you for all of your support. If you want to get into voting on puzzles yourself, you can become a supporter of the stream at the windmill level or above yourself. All right, so we have here, this is a Philomeno type puzzle, so digits need to be divided entirely into orthogonally connected regions, which each contain a number equal to their size. So for example, this could be a region. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And if this were a region, then all of these would contain an 11. Yeah, big grids with arrows do very well around here. If you can't go with being named Math Pesto, having a grid with arrows is probably the second best trick that you can do to get votes in the bucket. The voters do seem very inclined towards the non-Sudoku half of the Sudoku world. We'll see it. There's always trends. It ebbs and flows. Now we have like now I look like some sort of blood demon vampire as Tristan plays with the lights in the background. But yeah, so these would contain, in this case, these would contain an 11, and then no omino that this touched could also contain an 11. So there is that. Oh, and Laki is pointing out there's an example. I'll look at the example later. Hey, Jovi, how are you doing? I hope you are having a good summer. Yeah, I will pull up the example after we read the rules. Okay, so then we have, consider n the number in the top left corner of a cell with arrows. Arrows indicate all directions, up, down, left, and right, where the nearest occurrence of n are located. The number placed in that cell indicates the distance to the first occurrence of n in the indicated direction. So whatever number goes here, it's the same number that shows up 5 spaces here and 5 spaces, 3, 4, 5 spaces there. Okay, and then those are the nearest occurrence. So this is going to be a similar thing to the thing we did with the Bent's puzzle last time, I believe. So let us pull up the example grid for this puzzle, if I can find it. Here we go. So here is the example grid. Let me make sure you can see it. You can see it as well. So I clearly don't understand what's happening, because to me this seems to say that the nearest instance of 4. Oh, I was misreading it. Sorry, it's not the number. Okay, so the 1 is how far you have to go to get to a 4, not the 4 is how far you have to get to another 1. Okay. So yeah, so this is saying that the nearest 3 is 2 away, is what this is saying. And this is saying the nearest 4 is 1 away. That feels very backwards to me, but we will try and absorb it. Yeah, I in my brain, the other feels so much more natural, but this is very much a Denver-Miami arrow issue, where it's sort of like, I'm sure it would feel awkward either way, but this feels, at least to my instinct, this feels super awkward. So there's a 9 somewhere over here is what this is saying. So I have no idea where to put a bet tree, so I'm just going to put a bet tree there and hope. So we have that. Okay, so I think we know all the rules. This is hilarious. There's a question mark here. Okay, so this digit, the big digit is the distance, and so the distance can only be 1 or 2 for this. Right? The big digit is the distance. Yes, the big digit is the distance. So this can only be 1 or 2, because there's only 1 or 2 in that regard. One of these two is an 8, and one of these two is an 8. Now, let's see. Are there any others? Yes, so this can only be a 1, 2, or 3. This one can be pretty large. Okay, I need to think about the fact that this digit is not an 8 because of the like weirdo way that this works. Like the arrows give complete information, like in Pentopia. So like these things are not 8. Oh, Simon did this puzzle? I'm happy to hear Simon is doing this sort of puzzle. So these are all non-8 numbers. I'm trying to figure out what to do with that, but it's true. So these are not 8. So if these are not 8, that means that this digit can only be a 1, 2, or a 3. Because none of these can be 8, because then this would point in a different direction. So this is only a 1, 2, or a 3 now. Which means neither of these is 8. Okay. Feels like that's something. I'm trying to figure out if I really want to, like, mark that these cells are not 8 in some way. Oh, these can't be 8 either. Oh, Jay has a smart point, which is that these are also not 8. Because then these would both be 1, or one of these would be a 1, and the arrow would point that direction. So these aren't 8 either. So actually, this is a 1, and we get a digit. I hope Zach is awake. Let's get it. Let's get a digit dance, Zach. Ba-boo-ba-doo. Whoa! Ba-doo-ba-doo. Whoa! Ba-doo-ba-doo. Whoa! Ba-doo-ba-doo. Whoa! Ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Whoa! Thank you, Zach. Thank you. And so that makes that digit an 8. And we know that we can draw a boundary around this. And we know the 8 does not go up there, at least. So this can get the black monomino of shame indicator. See. Right, it doesn't go right either is a good point from DWeb. So actually my 8 has to come over here. Now there's no way this could be an 8 because it's not nearly enough, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yet. So that's also not an 8. Can the 8 really go here? If the 8 goes here, then this would have to be a 1 pointing at an 8 there. That doesn't sound great, but I'm not 100% sure I want to look ahead far enough to break that just yet. Because I think that's going to be a long look ahead to see that. Oh, it'll be a lot shorter if it turns out that 8 can't take this cell. Oh, yes. Okay, so Josh... So the thing I thought would be a long look ahead because it was so precise is actually the thing that happens, because as Josh points out, 8 can't take this cell, because then this arrow would also point there because of the completeness. So 8 takes this cell, which makes this a 1, which makes this an 8, because this has to be a 1, because if it was a 2, it would also point that way, and if it was more than 2, it would be broken. So, monomino of shame. Color, we get that. Okay, so now this 8 certainly can't take that cell, because again, that would create a second monomino of shame, and we can't have a second monomino of shame. So now the 8 comes here, and it's got to go up again. Now, this cell now can only be a 2, because it can't be as large as 3, or it would point here, and it can't be a 1. So this can now only be a 2, which means that's an 8, so it's orange. And that 8, I know, does not take this cell. This 8, I know, does not take this cell. These are, of course, both 8s. I know this 8 doesn't take this cell. I know it doesn't take this cell, so the 8 grows up again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is a thing. Okay, so we've got some progress. This now can't be a 1, interestingly enough, because that would put a 5 there, and it can't be a 2. So this number is at least 3, for whatever that is worth. Yeah, the 9 clue is 4 or 5, because it's got to be pointing to one of these. I agree with that. And whatever it is, it has to get out, so it goes there. If this 8 doesn't take this cell, then it's going to have to do that, which is probably okay, because it's going to make the 9 do that. Actually, what happens if the 8 does take this cell? Because if the 8 does take this cell, then this now has to be a 9, and the 9 has to get out. Yeah, there's 2 more cells in the 8 region. I think there's just enough versatility that I think it's not quite... I don't think it's quite all dictated exactly how it works yet. Close, though. We'll make that yellow. This is min 3. I'm going to do the thing I sometimes do of just writing a single number in lowercase here, just to indicate that the minimum possible this can be is 3. So that could be a 5, but it's the nearest 5 that we could have. And I know that those aren't... Oh, I know that these aren't 8. There we go. That's the point. That can't be an 8. Because if this was an 8, there would be an arrow pointing up. And that doesn't work. And so therefore this can't be a 1, because if it was 1, it would put an 8 there. So this is in fact a 2, which does put an 8 in both of these cells, and puts a border in both of these directions. Now this does have to be a 9, with this being a 5 and that being a 5. And this 9 has to grow. Cool. I support this puzzle so far. And so now this 8 that needs another cell, if I just look at my borders, it only has one other place that it can take its last cell. And so now that makes 8. So this 9, even if it takes this cell, always takes this cell, and always takes this cell. There's no way this can be a 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, that can't be a 9. So the 9 now has to come down. And down. Like that. 9 and 2 are different numbers. Could this even be as high as a 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it cannot. So therefore the 9 actually wraps back this way, which actually forces this to be a 2, and so this 2 is done. Whoop, whoop, like that. Oh, and the 9 is just going to be finished, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, well, 8. Right, and it's going to have to go 8, and then it's going to have to finish there, because otherwise this would be a 1. So, crazy weirdness. Monomino of shame. So we've got these over here. This 2 finishes here. Like that. Whatever this is, it certainly grows out. Oh, this could this be an 8? I don't think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It cannot be an 8. So this is not an 8. Whatever it is, though, it's going to get out. Let's make it blue. Da-dee-dee-da-dee-da. This can't possibly be an 8 either, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It also cannot be an 8. So this 8 is going to have to grow to there. This blue is going to have to grow to here, because remember, it's at least 3. Whatever this is, it's now this is also... Oh, this is a minimum of 2. Well, it's a minimum of 2, because this could be a 5. I don't know if an arrow cell can have its own digit. Does that happen in the example puzzle anywhere? It does not feel to me like that's forbidden. It feels to me like it can have its own digit. DWeb says it's not possible. Does it say that in the rules somewhere? Or is DWeb just saying this particular cell can't be a 5? No, the closest... Oh, right. How would the cell grow? Right. So, yeah. Right. So, yeah. So, if this contained a 5, that would be a big problem. Sorry, if this contained a 5, it would be a big problem, because this would also be a 5. So, this is not a 5. So therefore, this is not as small as 2, because this can't be a 5, because, again, that would put a 5 here, which would then make this a 1. So actually, the smallest this can possibly be is 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, it can't be a 5, so the smallest this can be is actually a 6. So we can make this... actually, we can't make that a color, but what we can do is we can sketch it out like that. In fact, actually, isn't this only able to be 6 or 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's only 6 or 7, actually. I could just full candidate it. Which makes this an 8, makes this an 8, because that can't be an 8. Which now, if I count down 7... No, sorry, I count down 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is now a 7. This thing that's a 6 or a 7, it's escaping out that way. Now, the fact that this is at least 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, means that this now can't be a 3 anymore. Because if this were a 3, it would make that a 5, which it can't be. So this is actually now at least 4 at minimum. These are both 8s. I know I have borders running along here. If this is a 4, both of those are 5s. Yeah, so this is now no 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, so one of these two is a 5. Let's see. Josh says it's also 4 at maximum. Let's see what happens if this is as big as oh, right. If this is as big as a 6, it would make that as big as an 8, and it can't be, right? So this whole fact that this thing can't be 5 is playing sort of double duty with this thing being capped. So the point is, if this is bigger than 4, it's at least 6, which would then make this at least 8, but it can't be because it would go off the edge of the grid. So this, in fact, is a 4, which makes that and that a 5. We can reward 5 with a color. 5 can be purple. We can say, I know the 5s don't grow in that direction. And that once that's a 5, that makes that a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Makes this a 6, which makes these other 6. Oh, 5 is already green, right? So we can make 6s purple then, just so that purple doesn't feel too left out. So by coincidence, Casey again wins the 5-color game. Good morning, Tallcat. I hope you're doing well. Let's see, so that's 5. Oh, okay, and I should put the 5 in, 6 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's also a green 5. And again, the 5 does not grow that way. And so this 5, if I look at it now, is pointing at a 5 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away. So this is at most 6, but it can't actually even be 6. This can only be a 1 or a 2. Because of the fact that those are the only 2 spots that could possibly be a 5. Is one of those unable to be a 5 for some reason? Yes, I know this isn't a 5. So therefore this is a 1. So all of these are 5. Yeah, if this were a 2, that would be a 5, which would then break both of these cells because they would be 5 and 3, respectively. Monomino of shame. When are you going to start replacing all of your setting with Philomeno variants, Tallcat? I feel like it is... The world deserves some Tallcat Philomeno puzzles. Let's see. Okay, and I know, again, that's not going to be one of these things. Ah, that can't be an 8. That's huge now. That can't be an 8. And so this 8 can only go backwards 1. So it has to go forwards a lot. So all of that is now forced, which makes this go there, and this go there, and this finishes there. So that's a 6. These are an 8 and an 8. That's a 4. These are 8, 8, and 8. This 5 now has to escape, and the 8 has to escape again. Because, again, I can only grab 1 8 back here because of the Philomeno rule being oddly relevant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, can you move the coasters?
Like over here. As promised, Tristan wears clothes this time for delivering the tea. Clearly no one donated enough for you not to, apparently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over there. 5, 5, 5. No, not there. Keyboard. Bad keyboard. So all of those go over here. That finishes that. Suddenly we're doing a raw Philomeno puzzle. 5. Let's see. That's going to be green. This still is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at most, so that has to be an 8. That's a 5. We can draw in... Oops. No, not like that. You know what I meant, Sven. You know what I meant. We can draw in that kind of thing. This one, of course, has to escape down. These are green. Oh, and they have to actually finish there. There's also a 7 arrow that I can fill in now, because this now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, this is a 5, so that's a 7. 7 doesn't have a color yet. This can't be a 5 because it would make the 5 region too big. We really are just doing Philomeno now. So we've got that. Oh, right, this one can't be a 5 either. Wow, we really, like, this is the Philomeno-iest Philomeno variant puzzle we've ever done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the last 8. That's not the last 5, so that's the last 5 for this Omino. That was Agent's little joke here, is that at this point it is just a pure Philomeno puzzle, and there's no more sightlines clues at all. Okay, so that's a 5. This is a Monomino of Shame. This is a something, and the something's not a 1. So the something is more than 1, whatever it is. And it's more than 2. So it's at least 3 at minimum. But whatever it is, it certainly grows out like that. We can mark. So we've got all of that going on. This is the one that Sarah's pointing out needs to grow, and so it's not a 5. It needed to grow because it's touching a 1, and so it's therefore not a 1 by phenomenology. Let's see. This is... this can't be a 1 either, because if this was a 1, it would make that a 1. So this is at least... this is a minimum of 2 at least. So let's see. So this is a minimum of 3. Right. If this is more than 3, then I need to go past 5 and 8. And so question mark would have to be at least 1. Or sorry, question mark could be 1, in which case it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Are there 8 cells down here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are not. So in fact, this has to be a 3, pointing at the 8, is chat's point. Because if this were not a 3 pointing at an 8, because there's only 5s and 8s here, I would have to go all the way over here, and then I'd overflow the edge of the grid. 3 doesn't yet have the privilege and honor of having a color. We seem to have used all of the regular colors, so 3 can be Carnival Cake. So we can do that. And now that means that there is, in fact, an 8, 1, 2, 3 cells down here. This is an 8. It's orange. There's no 8 above it, but that's the wrong color border. DWeb wanted to put some borders on 7s. That seems like a good idea. So yeah, so this 7 certainly doesn't grow up because of that clue. This 7 doesn't grow up because of that clue. So we've got some stuff like that going on. This is a minimum of 2. Oh, it can't be a 2, though, because if it was a 2, then 5 and 7 would be the same number. So this is not actually minimum 2. It's not minimum 3 either, because 3 would break because those 2 5s would be there. So now this is a minimum of 4, but it's also a maximum of 4. So in fact, this is a 4. Question mark is 8. There's an 8. That 8 now can't grow left. Now we have an 8, 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. This digit's now an 8 and is orange. So this is now just a 2 because it can't be 8, and so and it can't be 1, so it is just a 2. We can yoink that out. This 8 now has to grow, of course. 4 has a color, and it is blue, so we should reward it with a color for its good behavior. This 8, remember, is not allowed to grow left, I should mark. This 8 is not allowed to grow down, I should remember. This cell's only a 1 or a 4. Let's see. There's a 5 somewhere in this direction, fascinatingly enough. Let's see. Can this really be a 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would put a 7 there. That looks okay to me, at least at first blush, it looks okay. Not obviously bananas. This 7 is certainly going to go through... Oh, well, this isn't a 3 anymore. I know that. Because 3 would make 7 and 8 the same number. So this 7's either going to clip here... Oh, no! Right. This can't be a 1 anymore. This can't be a 1 because of the vertical bar on the 7. So this is a 2, meaning that's a 7 and that's a 7, and giving us these things. And that's a 2, so it is yellow. I should probably award 7 with an actual color. Let's see. What color should the 7 be? The 7, let's see. Simon Green, sold. Simon Green. Apparently Simon Green and some shade of white, but not that shade of white, apparently, is what has been decided by thing. Okay, we're going to get rid of the white, and then we're going to make it Simon Green. Okay, so 7s are Simon Green. Okay, that's not a 7 either. Okay, and there's not enough room over here for the 7 to finish, so that's a 7. And therefore is Simon Green. Let's see. Green white flash would be cool, but the we would like these to be 7 white flash. The only problem was I could not reproduce the particular shade of white that they were white flashed with, but this will do. Cells a 1, 2, or a 4. Let's see. Is there any way this 7 finishes up here? Oh, the 7 could go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or something like that. Maybe that's possible. Let's see. DWeb says this doesn't grow left. Right, if it grew left, right, that 8 arrow would be relevant. Yep, just completely missed that clue's relevance. There's some sneaky clues in this one. Okay, there's no way this is an 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, this is not an 8. So the 8 doesn't grow there either. This 8 is now forced to grow as well, Lakia points out. Just by sheer force of will, if nothing else. Let's see. So where am I encountering a 5? Could be a 1. So I'm going to write in all the possibilities here. This could be a 1 or a 3. It can't be a 5, actually. 5 is too... oh, and it can't be a 3 either, actually. If this were a 3, I'd put a 5 there, and there'd be nowhere for the 5 to go. So this is not a 3. And it's not a 5 either, for reasons that we've previously discussed. So actually, this is just a naked 1 with a 5 there. Shame Menomino. 5 in green. 5 doesn't do that. 5 doesn't do that. So this 5 grows down. Like that. Oh, this 4. Oh, I guess the 4 could grow in all 4 of those spots, maybe. This 7, though, certainly has to grow down. Now that we have this going on. Oh, right, this is not a 5 because of the 1 clue. Good spot. I'll give myself like a C plus on the bet tree this time. So the bet tree is a 5. Because the 5 now has to grow into it. Let's see. So one of these two is a 5. If it's that one, it breaks. No, if it's this one, these could both be 2, and that would be okay. If this is a 5, I think those would both be okay as well. That's probably easier. I guess if this is the 5, all of these become 4s. I think there's probably not a problem with that. Oh, this isn't allowed to be 5 because of the clue, Tall Cat points out. Very wise of Tall Cat. The tallest of the feline breeds. Good. So now these just are a 2 by force. And now the 4 clue finishes like this by force. So we can fill in those 4s. This 2 is going to one of these places. Let's see. Yeah, this is a 7. There's not a lot of room up here. Row 9, column 5. Oh, right. 7 grows down, column 11. Yeah, okay, so how much room is there up here if it doesn't? Right, it could take any of those 4 cells, but it can't take all 4 of those cells, is Selena's point. Because if it takes all 4 of the cells that it could possibly take up here to finish the 7, the 3 can't finish. So it can take any of these 4, but not all of these 4, and so therefore the 7 needs to grow down by 1, which is going to force the 8 down by 1, at least. Now, can this possibly be a 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It cannot, so this is not a 7. Can this possibly be an 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It cannot. So, so we get a bunch of various sort of borderings there. Now that forces the 8 way out under here. Now the 3 here, this is either, well, it can't be a 3. Sorry, this is either a 4 or a 5. Those are the only options for this cell. Just because one of those two. Oh, that cell can't be a 3, actually. That's funny. This has to be a 5. Because if it were 4, it would put a 3 there, and then that would make this 3 uncompletable, because either place I completed it would make a 4-cell 3-omino. That's cute. Okay, so these are coming over like that. My 8 needs to continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In fact, the 8 finishes here. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, this 7's not going to be able to make it very far. Let's see. Oh, I should write in the 3? That's a good idea. Yeah, write in the 3 that the 5 told you about. That's a good idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 3. It is carnival cake. We can draw it in and be happy. Okay, so this 7 could come here, but it can't extend any past that. So it needs to grow up here at least, well, more than 1, but I only know the direction of 1 of it, I think. So this is currently at 5. It needs 2 more. Again, it could get 1 of them there, maybe. So we've got that going up here. Oh, right, the 7 can't go here. Right, so the 7 has to go here. Right. So the 7's the only 2 cells the 7 can take are there. Sorry, I was incorrect in my original read of it. As Sarah said, you should look at the 7 again. I definitely should have looked at the 7 again. So these are a 2. Jam Rust return. There are some requests. So this certainly can't grow that way anymore because of the 7 there. The 5 certainly grows here now. And regardless of what happens, this 5 also grows here, which means the bet tree can't grow that way. This can't grow that way. That forces this 7 down at least that far. So we've got those things happening. Let's see. Oh, can I write in this now? Okay, yeah. So this can go right, but even if it does, it still has to go left. Is the point that Kuraban makes, which is then going to force this 5 over here one more. I do know it's not 5. That's a good point, right? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in front of this is not a 7, so this 5 doesn't go there. So that's going to force this 5 out a ways, like that. So this could be a 2, and if it's not a 2, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a 2 or it's a 9. Those are the only options, I think, for that particular cell. Being told it is not a 9. By row 6. By row 6, column 1, it's not a 9. That's adorable. Okay, very, very, very cute setting there, Agent. Very cute. So this is definitely a 2, because if it were a 9, this would not be a 5. It would be a 2, and the arrow would point the other direction. So these are 2s. That's genius. So this is a 7. That's a 7. That's a 5. That's a 7. That's an 8. That's an 8. Let's finish the 5. I like that a lot. That is very cute. Oops, not like that. Never like that. 7. Yeah, I was quite taken aback by that one. That was a very cute use of portals, we'll say. So this 5 now is finished because it can't grow into that spot, apparently. I'm sure there was a reason it could not grow into that spot, right? How did I know that this cell wasn't a 5? I'm sure there's a clue hanging around that tells me that this cell's not a 5. Oh, because of this 5, right. Yep. So this 5 finishes. This 8 has to come here because this can't be a 1 anymore. So that's an 8, that's a 5. We get to sort of draw in that. And now this 7 omino doesn't have 7 cells yet, so it's going to take that cell. Oops. This is going to have to be a 5. This is going to have to be a 2. We can finish all of that. Let us see what else we can do. Probably something else. So yeah, so this 8. Let's see. This 8 currently is at 5 cells. If this 8 does not take this cell, then it's going to be forced to take this cell. Let's see if this can be an 8. I'm going to guess it cannot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, annoyingly, that's possible, isn't it? If question mark is 1, I think that would be okay for this to be an 8. Okay, let's count the number. Let's play the counting game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so there are 17 cells down here. So down here, there are either 2 1s or a 2. So this cell can only be 1, 2, 7, or 8. Those are the only possibilities of what this can be. And I'm going to guess some of those are going to be sort of immediately disproven. So, for example, 7 is immediately disproven because 7 would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be wrong because it's not the nearest 8. This now is only 1, 2, or 8. Selena wants to point out that this cell can't be a 7 and it can't be an 8, so and it can't be a 2, so this is a naked 1. I think is Selena's point. Because again, there's only 1, 2, 7s, and 8s down here in this area, and this cell, because of that 2 clue, Selena's point is it would point down if this were a 7, so it's not a 7, so it can't be any of those except for 1. And because this is a 1, this can't be a 2 anymore. There are no longer allowed to be 2s. This is just a shame monomino, and we know there's one more shame monomino in the area. Now, this cell can't be a shame monomino, and it can't be an 8, because if this were an 8, it would cut off the 7. So this is definitely a 7. And this can't be a shame monomino either, and it can't be an 8 because it would cut off the 7, so it's also a 7. So we got these are 7s. Now, this 7 certainly needs to connect through here, or we're not successfully 7ing anymore. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. If this is a 1 now, we have the problem, as Kuraban points out, if this is a 1, now this becomes a 7, except this is... Wait, no, that's okay. That's okay. Oh, my 8 only has... Well... Oh, right. If this is a 1... Right, sorry. I saw that and then my brain figured it out. If this is a 1, it's pointing at a 7, but that's also a 7, and that doesn't work. So this has to be an 8. So it is orange. And so that is orange. And so this arrow can't see the other monomino of shame. And remember, we need a shame monomino, and so the shame monomino is there. Because if this arrow saw the shame monomino, it would certainly be closer than 8. So these are all 8. We can finish the coloring before we finish the puzzle. This is my last. This is a Simon Sweater White, and it is a 7. Wow. I'd have called it 2 stars. Like, I think this was a very easy Philomeno arrow variant puzzle, but it was a very cool one. I enjoyed that one an enormous amount. Way to go, Agent, on that. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, some very cool stuff in there. Oops. There we go. But yeah, super smooth. Alrighty, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll be back with some more puzzling action. So see you all in just a moment. Alrighty, welcome back. One new feature that you can't really appreciate in the studio is that in the studio in our old place, the floor was so not flat that my chair had to have flat feet instead of wheels, whereas now I can wheel around, and it's very exciting. So I can wheel in and out. It's very cool. Yeah, Screaming Ice Cube. Screaming Ice Cube is asking what our schedule is for this week. So the plan is for me to stream Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday in the immediate future. However, since we just moved into a new house, that is a little bit subject to shifting, and also the week after that, my parents are visiting, so I'll still stream, but the schedule might get shuffled around. But we can try and be better about scheduling stuff so that you can look on the YouTube channel and see what's scheduled ahead. We have been a little afraid to commit too much to exactly when things are going to happen, because we've been sort of planning around things like, oh, today someone's coming to install the garage door, or whatever other sorts of nonsense. So anyway, we promise it will settle down, but it may continue being a little bit unsettled, but we'll try again to schedule and look at it and stick to what is scheduled when it comes up. But yeah, we'll certainly be back on a very regular schedule, but it might be a few weeks before we're on a very regular, predictable schedule. All right, so let us have a look now at Kuraban's Single Constraint Killer 3. If you've not seen, by the way, this series of Kuraban puzzles, I don't think Simon did this one, Selena, because when I pulled it up, it only said 113 solves. And usually if Simon's done it, it's more like 1,000. But if it's 100, maybe Mark did it? I'm not sure. Hard to say exactly. But if you're not familiar with this series, the SC here stands for Single Constraint. Kuraban has done this now very long series of puzzles. I guess 31 of them, perhaps. With only a single Sudoku constraint, in which Kuraban sort of experiments with what the limitations are of that particular thing. So this is a very cool series. I really recommend it. They do occur in a very wide range of difficulties, so you can pay attention to the star rating of difficulty of these puzzles. But I do highly recommend this series. And so the rules of this one are just that the digits in the cage sum to the total that it says they do. Do you have a recommended bet cell, Kuraban? There's normally a digits can't repeat within cages rule, but it's not relevant in this puzzle. Also, I will note that I will probably make use of the secret little calculator here. My intuition says that I'm going to try and use 9s in row 1, column 1, row 9, and column 9 to prove that this has to be a 6, 7, 8 cage. That's my guess as to what we're going to have to do to start. But we will see. Because the sort of immediate thing here is that a 22... I was going to say a 22 cell 3 cage, but a 3 cell 22 cage needs a 9. And I was noticing that both this 14 cage and this 15 cage have only one option, have only two options, one of which involves a 9. Oops, sorry, I should center mark there. And so this is 5, 6, 8, 9. And so, if this is 6, 7, 8, it creates a lot of tension in this row. Because if this is 6, 7, 8, then I've created a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple, which would force this to be a 4, 5. Tallcat wants me to think about the same thing I'm thinking about, but the opposite direction. I'm pretty sure what Tallcat's trying to get me to think about is equivalent to the thing I'm already thinking about. just the opposite, but we'll have a look at it. So if this is 6, 7, 8, it does force this to be 4, 5. If this is yeah, okay, let's see. What does Garion say? 1 in column 1 and row 9 can't be in the cages. Yeah, there's no 1s here, so there's definitely a 1 up here. And there's no 1 in any of these, so there's definitely a 1 down here, was what Garion was saying. But yeah, there's definitely something suspicious going on with this sort of high and low partition. But yeah, this is some sort of fireworky thing. It's true that in row 1, I can't put a 1 in any of these. I can put a 1 in a 9 cage. So the claim that we can't put a 1 here is not correct, unless there's a elaborate chain that goes into it, which is very possible. But I sort of suspect that we're ultimately going to be digit counting through these things. So I think Tallcat wants me to observe that I can only put 1, 1, 2, 3 in here and none in these. And so 2 of 1, 2, and 3 are in these cells. And 2 of 1, 2, and 3 are in these cells. So each of these green regions contain at least 2, 1, 2, 3s. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, so the point is, yes. So yeah, so this is exactly fireworks. Okay. So the point is row 9 and column 9 also have that. If I look at row 9, I can put 1, 1, 2, 3 in these cells. And so at least 2 of these 3 are 1, 2, 3s, and at least 2 of these 3 are 1, 2, 3s. And so the key thing to note is if this is not a 1, 2, or a 3, then that breaks. Because that if this is not a 1, 2, or 3, then all 4 of these are 1, 2, 3s. So this is always a 1, 2, 3. This is always a 1, 2, 3. For whatever that is worth. I mean, it does tell me that this cage has a 1, 2, or 3 in it. So this cage is not a 5, 6, or a 4, 7. Because I do need... I can't put 3, 1, 2, 3s here. Likewise, this 11, exactly the same thing. So I can't put 2, 1, 2, 3. I can't put 3, 1, 2, 3s here. So I have to put a 1, 2, 3 in here. So this is not 4, 7, or 5, 6. There's a 2 or a 3 in here. Likewise, in this row, this can't be a 1, 2, 3 triple. So this 9 cage is not 4, 5. And likewise, this 10 cage is not 4, 6. So we have all of that stuff going on. I think the firework name is just the name of the deduction that this needs to be a 1, 2, 3. I don't think we get anything else out of the whole firework package. we know that all of these numbers and all of these numbers are more than 3 because we know that all the 1, 2, 3s are spent elsewhere. So I can pencil mark that these are at least 4. I don't know that that's useful for anywhere. That one's certainly not a 6 for whatever it's worth. Sadly, I was hoping one of these cages would be put under pressure by the fact that it had 2 high digits in it. But alas, it is not. Right, so now this cage is not, as Franz says, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 6, 7, 8. Because if this cage was 6, 7, 8, what would be the problem is that these would be a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple, which would force this to be 4, 5, but we just said it's not 4, 5. So there's definitely a 9 in this cage. Okay, so yeah, so we've got a 9 here. So the opposite of the thing that I sort of expected. So my gut is that these either both have to be 9 or neither of them can be 9. Probably neither of them can be 9 is my guess, because I still think this is a counting 9s puzzle. I think that's still what we're ultimately trying to do. Tall Cat's pointing out, I know that there's a 4, 5 in one of these cells. Because I can put neither 4 nor 5 in any of those cells, and there's only one squiggle of room over here. So one of these is a 4 or 5. So I guess that means this digit's always high, is the point. Right, so Tall Cat's point here, again, we proved this can't be 4, 5. There's no 4, 5s there. 2 of these I know are 1, 2, 3. So only one of them can be a 4, 5, and so therefore there's always a 4, 5 in these cells. And indeed, they're not both 4, 5, so indeed these are from certainly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those aren't 1. And the 4, 5 in here means that this cell, well, A, we're not 6, 7, 8, as we already noted, but that means that these cells are, or this cell's only from 7, 8, 9. So no 4, 5 in this cell. So probably we want to do a similar thing with the digit 5 in this column, I'm going to guess. Actually, no, we can do better. We can do it with 4 and 5 in this column. Because in this column, remember this 10 cage we proved through the miracle of our 1, 2, 3 counting, we proved this 10 cage doesn't have a 4 in it. It's not 4, 6. Also, like most 10 cages, it doesn't have a 5 in it. So 4 and 5 in this column. Oh, but we can put a 5 there. We can put a 5 there. So not quite. This could be 5, 9, I believe. So we've got that. We've got a little pressure there. So there's a 6, 7 here. I'm looking at Franz's point about 6 and 7s in row 9. There's a 6, 7 here. Couldn't there be a 6, 7 here? If that's a 9. This could be a 5, 7, right? And then this could be a 1, 8. So the way the 14 and 15 cages glare at this cell is interesting. So let's see. So Emily says it is you have a virtual 7, 8, 9 triple between row 8, row 8, column 9, the 10 cage in column 9, and the 14 cage. Right. Okay, yes, so that's right. Good spot. So this is a 7, 8, 9. There's definitely a 7, 8, 9 here, and there's a 7, 8, 9 here. So this digit can't be 7, 8, or 9. And therefore, it's the 4, 5. which isn't shocking, but that's a very elegant way to phrase it, Emily. I like that. So this is the 4, 5. This is the 7, 8, 9 over here. Now, I know that there's got to be a 6, 7, 8, 9 in this 9 cage. Of course, it's not a 9. There's a 6, 7, 8 in here. Still. Yeah, right. These I know. Sorry, not those. These I know contain a 2 or a 3. So, and Garian's point is they can't both be 2, 9. And so one of them is 3, 8 always. And so if I write in what this cell can be, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are the things that could go in this cage. But one of these definitely is a 3, 8. And so this cell is not an 8, is Garian's point. So this is a 5, 6, 7, or 9. Jaleb says it's... Oh, Jaleb is doing lots of nasty stuff that I'd prefer to avoid if I can, but I will do if I have to. But we got this down here without having to do ugly math, so I'm going to guess this is not an ugly math puzzle, but we'll see. It could be. So, could phrase this as like, how many repeated digits are there in these cells? There's certainly a repeated digit in these cells because these no, so far this has been about counting, which is sort of like counting geometry puzzles are some of my favorite, which feels very, very distinct from like set or heavy arithmetic puzzles. So DWeb is saying we can't have 2 7, 8, 9s in the 22 cage. Oh, in column 1 we can't have 2 in the 7, 8, 2 from 7, 8, 9. So probably these are the ones from 7, 8, 9. Yeah, both of these, right. Both of these need a 7, 8, 9. Right, right. Okay. Right, right. So yeah, so each of these needs a 7, 8, 9. Right. And so we only have one 7, 8, 9 to give here, and we only have one 7, 8, 9 to give here. Right, right, right. So this is Emily's argument from before. So yeah, so I need a 7, 8, 9 in here because again, we ruled out 2 of the options. So there needs to be a 7, 8, 9 in here and a 7, 8, 9 in here. Therefore, I only get one 7, 8, 9 in here. Likewise here. However, I need 2 7, 8, 9 total in this cage, and therefore they must go here and here, and this isn't a 7 or a 9. Good. Okay, so agree with that. So we did that. And again, there's no 7, 8, 9 in these cells because we've used all the 7, 8, 9s in the column. And so, yeah, these are, yeah, I don't think I could say anything other than these aren't 7, 8, 9. But that means there is a 7, an 8, and a 9 in these cells. And they can't both go in the 15 cage. Because if they both went in the 15 cage, then that would be too many. So the thing that's not a 7, 8, 9 in these 4 cells is in here. So therefore, these are always from 7, 8, 9. So that digit is the opposite of that. It's a 3, 4, or a 5. Oh, right. This is not a 6. Sorry, that because of this whole business with 7, 8, 9s. This is not ever a 6. Now, what's wrong, DWeb, with having a 6 and a 7 in here or something like that? DWeb is somehow claiming that I can't put a 6 in with a 7, 8, 9, but I don't see why. Okay, so there's A789 here. There's A789 here in this row. I know that's not a 789. For whatever it's worth. So we've got some extra 789 action, but I don't think I'm going to get it immediately. Likewise, in this column, I need some extra 789 action. Let's see. Let's see. Do I know that there's not a... Do I know if there is or isn't a 5 or 6 in this 13 cage? Is this an interesting question to ask? Maybe this is not an interesting question to ask. This trick with the 7, 8, 9s feels like it was the point of all of this work that we've been doing. Is there a similar thing I can do over here? I think there is, actually. Oh, no, I could put a 7, 8 here. I could put a 7, 8 here if I put a 1 there. That would actually be okay. Okay, so Garion is doing some math that I think is doable, which is that if this is 7, then these sum to 15, 26, 39, making these a 1, 2, 3 triple, which breaks. And exactly the same thing happens going the other way. So neither of these is a 7. And so these are an 8, 9 pair, which makes that a 5. Okay, that is math I am willing to accept, because that is not complicated math. So that gets us a 5. Sadly, MicroStudy's not here for this, but we'll let Zach do the 5 dance anyway. Ba-doo-ba-doo. Wah! Ba-doo-ba-doo. Wah! Ba-doo-ba-doo. Wah! Ba-doo. Thank you, Zach. Thank you. So no 5 running down there. There's never going to be a 5 there. This certainly doesn't have a 5 in it anymore. So now the 8 in this column is either here or here. Right. There's always an 8 or a 9 in the 11 cage. And so the way Talcott phrases it is we have a virtual 8-9 pair now in the column. Because that's an 8 or a 9. And this, because it had to have a 2 or a 3, also had to have an 8 or a 9. So there's no 8, 9 in here. And so this is 6, 7. And the exact same logic makes this 6, 7. So these aren't 6, which actually means the other digit here is a 6. So certainly there's not a 9 here. And that makes this digit always a 1 or a 2 because of the way the math works in these cells. because these have a 6 now, because of that 6, 7 glaring into this box. So what are we going to do with that? That makes this a 4. Because if this were a 5, it would rule 5 out of this box. Or alternatively, 5 is corner marked into here, which makes this a 4. Whichever way you want to look at it is perfectly fine. And likewise, there's a 4 corner marked into these cells, which doesn't do anything at all for anything of any sort, but we can do it anyway. But the fact that this is a 4 means that these are an 8-9 pair. Oops. That being an 8 or a 9 now gives me an 8-9 pair glaring at this 9 cage. So there's not an 8 in here. Oh, I guess that still leaves 2 options, doesn't it? 2, 7 or 3, 6. Okay, that's the point. That's the point. Emily has it. The point of ruling out there being an 8 in this is that it rules 1 out, which now means that the 1 is actually placed in this row. So great spot to Emily there. So now that's actually the 1. Column 9 also has a virtual 8-9 pair, so this 10 cage is now forced to be 3-7 exactly. So that's not a 3, which forces there to be a 3 in this row somewhere. Actually, no, sorry. Forces there to be a 3 in one of these 2 cells only, because this box needs a 3, which now means this 11 cage doesn't have a 3 in it, which means this 11 cage is 2-9, which now makes that an 8 and that a 9, which makes that a 2 and that a 9. Very good. So that's not an 8, and that's not a 4. That's not an 8. That's not a 2. As we continue this. Okay, this has become a 1 as well, just by Sudoku and nothing else. In fact, actually, we can just sort of fill in what the remaining digit is here. We've got 1, 2, we need a 3 and a 4. And we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are a 3, 4 pair. So none of these are 4 either. Those aren't 9. Yeah, and I know these are not 8 or 9. Because of the triple. So again, I have sort of 7, 8, and 9 all living in these cells. Same as ever. Right. Now this doesn't have a 9 in it, so now it's a 3, 8, Tall Cat points out. So no 3 here. Makes those a pair. Makes that not a 2. So those are a 3, 5 pair now. This is not a 9, so this is not a 6. That 3, 5 tells me that this is a 2, 7. That 2, 7 means that this is not 7 or 8. This is 6, 9. Like that, making that an 8 and that a 9. Which has made this 6, 8. Which, if I finish the column, makes this a 2 and 3, 4. 2 and a 5. Knocks 5 out of all of these. Of course, 8 out of those. So we've got all of that. That's a 3, 5 pair. I don't know if I care about that, but anyway, it means that the 3 in this box is in one of those 2 cells, which I will either use or forget later. So we have all of that. So if these are 6, 7, then that's a 3. Seems okay. I'm just going to get rid of these corner marks now. Like that. Malcor pointing out we know the value of this 7 cage because it's not 1 6 because there's a 6 in the box, and it's not 2 5 because that's a 2 or a 5. So this is always a 3 4, which is actually going to place that 3 that we were just talking about, which is going to place that 5 and that 7, which is going to make this a 6, an 8, and a 9, making that a 1, making that a 3 and a 7, like that. Good. We can mark up these cells. Those are a 2 5 7 triple, weirdly. So these are not 2 or 5. These are a 1 6 pair. So these are 2 4 5 8. Yeah, so there's a 5 and an 8 in there. I guess that was not as helpful as I would have hoped. What are you going to do? We can place a 4 here because of that 3 4 pair looking into here. And so these are just coming from only a handful of things. In fact, that's apparently the only place for a 1. No, sorry, this can only be a 1. Right, this can't be a 6 or 7. So this is just a naked 1. And now there's a 6 7 pair in the row, making that an 8. Sorry, making that an 8. There we go. Making that not an 8. This is now a 2 or a 5. I don't think I know which one yet, though. These are now not able to be most things, because they can't be 6, they can't be 7. So yeah, these are from 1, 2, 5, 8. Only a few options there. These are just a pair, so I should write in what they are. They are from 2, 9. Sure. JLub pointing out these aren't 7, 9 because that would make that a 0. So therefore, this is never a 6. So at absolute maximum, this cell's a 3. So this is always a 1, 2, 3. Although I don't know quite what to do with that yet. Oh, but there's always a 6 in here, meaning that that's not a 6. So that's a 1 and that's a 6. So JLib's point keeps on giving a little bit. So this can't be 6 and 9, because if it were 6 and 9, then this would need to be a 1, but we just proved it's not. So this is actually a 6, 7. So that's a 3, making that a 4 and that a 3. This is not a 7. Sorry, not a 7. So these are... these aren't 6 because of the 6, 7 pair up above. So, got all of that. What about these cells? What can they be? Anything they want to be in the world. This is a 9, Tall Cat points out. I agree with that, which actually makes that a 9. Good. Okay, I think I successfully muted my mic before I sneezed. Why not row 5, column 8? Because row 5, column 8 wasn't... Oh, no, right. Sorry, you're right. Totally right. Yep, this could still... The 9 could be in one of those two. I don't know why I thought that that was the only one. Whatever, we're getting there. These can only be a few digits. Those ones. Let's see. Are any of these ruled out by what that would make this? So this is going to be an 8, a 5, a 3, or a 2. All of those are possible, funnily enough. These are some mess of things. That's a cute spot by Carl. If this is 5, 7, it makes both of those a 2, because I make a 2, 5, 7 quadruple in the column. So this is never 5, 7. So it's 3, 9, or 4, 8. And that's not a 3, so that's not a 9. I wonder if one of those does a similar, creates a similar problem. Maybe not. Probably it's 3, 9, because that would work better sudokulogically. Yes, if the 9 cage is a 3, 6, it creates a quadruple in this direction. That is untoward, so we don't do that either. Agree. Let's see. Michael says row 8, column 4. Oh, Michael might be a little bit behind. 7 in column 4, I am meant to think about. Yeah, 7 in column 4 just goes there. That's miraculous. I don't quite see how that happened, but I'll take it. Just sort of fell into the abyss. So that is now a 7, and that's a 2. Making that a 9 and that a 2. Making that a 5. Making these a 1, 4 pair, which makes that a 2 and that a 9. See, I told you it was a 9. That a 2, a 7, a 5, a 2. A 5, an 8, a 2, a 5. A 1, a 2. 2, 8. 4, 2. 2, 5. These aren't 2, 4, or 5. They're only that, so that's not an 8, so that's not a 4. So we can go ahead and mark up all of these remaining cells. So that's a 3, 4 pair, apparently, making that a 5. This 4, 8, Tallcat's pointing out, is probably saying this isn't 4, 8. So this is 9 and 3 instead, making that 8 and 3, making that 4 and 1 and 4, that 1 and 4, making that 5 and 3 and 4, making that an 8 and 7 and 4 and 3, making that a 1 and a 6, making that a 7 and a 6. And finally, resolving that our bet tree is an 8. So congratulations to all the 8 bettors out there. May all your betting tree wishes come true. That was a very lovely puzzle, Kuraban. Yeah, I really like puzzles that come down to sort of paying attention to how many of your sort of each collection of digits are. And so this puzzle was all about counting 7, 8, 9s and sort of complementarily 1, 2, 3s. But that was all sort of a very neat geometric-y kind of trick. Kuraban says there was a math break-in. I liked our break-in. But apparently there's a messier way to do it as well. Cages in row 9, sum to 45. So the thing you could notice is very similar to the thing we eventually had to notice from Garion about why this couldn't be a 7. So this digit is the sum of those 3. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. To say that, yeah, something is going on with this. That's not even super messy math, although I'm never gonna. It's never in my world going to be like, oh, here are some random 2-digit numbers. Let me add them up and see if they sum to 45. But it is cool to have set it up. And then both of these, because these cages are set up so that both of these are one more than the thing that they correspond to. It's a very cool, cute idea. So was forcing 7, 8, 9 into these like completely unintended, or was it a consequence of that? This was attempting to be both. Yeah, this sort of structure is very suggestive to me that I'm digit counting in rows and columns. Uh, just the sort of the general, like just in terms of telegraphing. Uh, which ended up being how we ended up doing it, but we probably could have done it a little bit differently. But I really enjoyed this. This was neat fun to pick apart. Alrighty, but I am going to take a quick break, and I will be back in a moment with more puzzles. So hang out, and I'll be back shortly. welcome back, everyone. While I was gone, there was some activity. We have a windmill upgrade for Screaming Ice Cube, greatly appreciated. And Neil has become a fan, so welcome to Neil, and thank you to Screaming Ice Cube. Let's get you a fan dance and a windmill dance. Woohoo! Waha! Weehee! Woohoo! Weehee! Waha! Whoa! Weehee! Waha! Weehee! Woohoo! Thank you so much to both of you. Greatly appreciated. And yes, as people say in the chat, if you could hit the like button, it is greatly appreciated. Don't worry, the like button likes it, so it is acceptable. All right, so next up, we have a Mr.Menace parody puzzle. And so we can drop, I'm going to guess a bet tree there, but who knows? ELSF, we're loving the new place. We're still sort of sorting out various things, like making lots of little tweaks, but we're very happy with how things are now. The previous owners had many dogs, so we're still trying to get the air quality back to where we would like it. So we just got while I was streaming the last puzzle, Tristan was setting up our new industrial quality air purifier to suck all of the pet dander out of the house. But that is but we are very, very happy with it so far. All right. So here we have yeah, it takes a good bit. It was overpowering our old air purifiers, but we think the new one should be able to take care of it. So these lines mean the digits alternate in parity along the line. This is a Mr.Menace special. I think these lines are cool. I just haven't seen them in other Sutter's puzzles. They probably have shown up other places. But anyway, I associate these sorts of parody puzzles strongly with Mr.Menace, and they're always enjoyable. So these either go odd, even, odd, or even, odd, even, depending. We have to deduce that. This digit is odd. This digit's even. And then we have cages summing to the total. And I don't think we even need to know that digits can't repeat in cages for purposes of this puzzle. Place your bets now as to what the digit in here will turn out to be. Jay Dyer has once used fantasy, or has once used, I was going to say, he has once used fantasy lines. Once used parody lines, I am being told. This does not surprise me. So the way the Z's are structured, means that these two have the same parity and these two have the same parity, which is pretty interesting. I'm trying to see if there's some way that we can use this. So similar to the previous puzzle, I know there's a 9 in here, so this even digit is not a 9. Fun fact. Okay, what is 9 plus 14? It's 36. So these three digits sum to 9. So they're from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one is not a 1, 3, or a 5. It is a 2, 4, or a 6. Yeah, the 10 cages are always equal parity. Yeah. Any of the 2-cell even cages are always equiparity. So 3-cell cages, not so much, but 2-cell cages, yes. So we've got those. So 2 of these are even and one of them is odd, and so yeah, 2 of these are even and one of them is odd. They're not 1, 3, 5 is what we have learned here. So if they're not 1, 3, 5, then the 5 is in one of these cages for sure. So the 5 either goes over here or the 5 goes over here. I don't know which yet. But we've got that going on. Yeah, these two have opposite parities. That's true. So let's invent fake parities for these two. And so the reason why these have opposite parities is because these 3 cells sum to 9, which means these 2 cells need to sum to an odd number. And so I can yellow, yellow, green, green like that. Green, green, yellow, yellow like that. And see if that is somehow helpful. It probably is somehow helpful. Fake parodies brought to you by the inventors of acceptable math. Yeah, if blue is even and this is an even cage, that's all of the evens for the row. That's not so exciting in the grand scheme of things. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if there's something more I can do with the math in this box, but there probably isn't. Again, I know 5 is not involved. I can take 5 out of these. These cells are definitely not 5. So these digits are either 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 6. So I guess that means there's always a 2 in these cells. So there's never a 2 in the 14 cage, which is going to rule out some of the options for the 14 cage. Because the only options for 9 involve that. Sarah has deduced that all of the cages have even totals. Yeah, Carl agrees that, yeah, the 2 is always an outie here. Like, I certainly could not, and I don't know if this is going to be excruciatingly painful, I cannot make 1, 4, 9 this cage because I break both 1, 2, 6 and 2, 3, 4. And I can't make it 3, 5, 6 either because I break 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 6, so I can't do that. So we've got only 3 options, which don't have anything obvious in common. So Tallcat is using a fact that shows up in lots of Mr.Menace puzzles, that the sum of the even digits in a Sudoku is 20, and the sum of the odd digits in a Sudoku is 25, and these 2 cages sum to 26, and therefore they are opposite parity. So one of them is even and one of them is odd, and so collectively between these 3 cells, we have 3 odds and 2 evens for sure. And so remaining in the row, there are 2 evens and 2 odds. But it doesn't, which seems incredibly useful, and I'm going to guess is going to be useful after we've done 1 or 2 more steps. That's my hypothesis. Okay. Annoyingly, yes. Annoyingly, the 2 10 cages sum to 20. Agree that I also looked at that and came to exactly the same conclusion about that. That these digits are not all the same parity. Shockingly. But these 2 are the same parity. Box 2 can give you the parity of the long line. Right. Okay, yeah. So, that's really clever. Okay, so Tallcat, being the smart cat that he be, we know that these 2 are green, yellow in some combination. So these sum to an odd total. These sum to an odd total. And therefore, these two sum to an even total. And therefore, this is green. And so that is going to give us the parity of the long line. Thank you, Tallcat. That's very cute, by the way. So therefore, all of these are yellow. Oh, did I do it backwards? So these have an odd total. These have an odd total. So I need these to have an even total. I think I did it right. I think I was right. In this one instance, I think I was correct about something. I won't make a habit of it, though. Don't worry about it. So we've got all of this yellow floating around. I think I'm going to get rid of the color on these just so that I don't get confused. So these are now a green-yellow pair. So I will often sort of denote that by drawing a line, but now I can just literally draw a red line between these just to indicate that these are different things, because I know that with the odd, I have used 4 odds and 3 even, so there's 1 even and 1 odd left, so I can just draw that line in there like that. Yeah, funnily enough, Nordy, I very often use the line tool to mark that 2 cells are different colors without are different parities, without it just being a parity line. But in this puzzle, it's even nicer to just say it's just a parity line, which is nice. So can these two 10 cages really be the same anymore? I don't know is the answer. Unfortunately. Let's see. They are the same, says Carl. Look at box 4. Oh, box 4 has become available to us. Because that sums to an even, that sums to an odd, so these two need to sum to an even. So these, in fact, through the magic of box 4, they are the same. I don't know what the same is. I'm going to make it purple for a second. But what that means is, so if purple is even, then everything else in the column is odd. If purple is odd, oh yeah, okay, that's the point. Purple can't be green is the slick way to look at this. I was going to argue this in a really convoluted way, but the easy way is to say if purple was green, then green is odd, but this is a 6th odd. So purple is in fact yellow. That is a much cleaner way to argue it than the way I was about to. So you are saved by Tallcat there. Does that mean this cell's always green? Because this cell can never be yellow, right? None of these cells can be yellow. If any of these cells were yellow, then it would cause the same problem. So all of these cells are green. And so that lets me percolate along the parity line here, like that. Just to get that all through. Okay, and so these two are the same. Yeah, and I don't know which there's more of yet. Oh yeah, same deal here. These are even. That's even. So these are opposite colors. because of the way that works, because all of this is now even. So yeah, so this is green, and that's green, and now, people, again, reminding me, I already marked this parity, so I don't have to do this math again, but now this is all odd. Sorry, this is now even. And so these two need to be odd, which means that needs to be yellow, and that's yellow. Let's see. So whether this is yellow or green, it makes... Oh, this is always odd. That's so weird. This is always odd. Because whatever it is, it's going to make there be 3 of its color. So this is 3, 9, or 5, 7. For sure. Tallcat claims it's yellow, which would be huge. Oh, right. The 14 cage. Right. Okay, so the 14 cage, that's sort of complicated. These are either a 5-9 pair, which would break this, or they're a 6-8 pair, which would not break this. I'm not quite sure how... I'm not quite yet sure how this works. I do know this is even. I'll agree with that. Right. Them being a 5-9 pair would just immediately break, right? Because them being a 5-9 pair would break this. So they are a 6-8 pair, meaning that these are a 6-8 pair. I agree with that. So green is even, and green being even is huge because I was trying to prove the thing Tallcat was saying, but Tallcat gave me a better way to do something different than what Tallcat was saying. So now that green is even, these are all yellow because there's only 4 evens. Okay, also, we can go ahead and green this cell. And so this is 2, 4, 6. So this now, because these are both odd, this needs to be even. And I probably should go ahead and take a second to switch over to my normal colors, like that. And then I can make this orange, and that'll be nice. So these are certainly orange. That's certainly blue. These are therefore double blue. And so because those are double blue, we know that's a 4. And we get to do the 4 dance for the puzzle. Thank you, Zach. Thank you. I'm told there's a 5, but I've yet to see the 5, but I'll find the 5 someday. So now this is a 2, right? Because now this is now an even that sees every other even other than 2. Good. So now that's a 2, because where is 2 going in this box? Only there. So now that's a 2, because that's now the only place 2 can go in this box. So these I should mark as a 6-8 pair just for the the future. That's all the evens in this column, so I should probably go ahead and fill in all of those odds. Oh, I see. People's point is you can't put a 5 in a 10 cage, and I have to put one in this column somewhere, so it can only go there. There we go. So that makes this a 3, 9. So we've got all of that. I enjoy Carl trying to get me here by saying 25 minus 20 is 5. Thank you, Screaming Ice Cube. Greatly appreciated. I'm sure I will see you around again soon, but have a great day. There's a 10 cage in box 2. Is odd. Oh, because it can't have a 6 or an 8 in it. No, it could have a 6 or an 8 in it. Oh, it can't be even because that would put 5 evens in the box. Can't be even because that would put 5 evens in the box. I'm sure you all saw that. I did not understand it. Hey, Doomediat, I hope you're doing well. This digit can't be a 3 by Sudoku, I see. What is left in this row, actually? Mark, tell me. Mark, those can't be 6 or 8, and they can't be 3 or 9 either. They're 1, 4, and a 7. Well, this one's not a 7. So this is either a 5 or a 2, depending on how that works. It was not as helpful as I had fantasized about. Yes, we are settling into the new house rather nicely. I am quite happy with it. I can place 2 and 4 in column 3. Ah, right. Yeah, where does 2 go in this column? It's not in the 6-8 pair, funnily enough. And so this is a 2 or a 4. It's not a 2, so it's a 4, and that's a 2. That's a super slick thing. Yeah, the background is relatively new. We're going to get the camera all set up a little bit better, so I'm a little squarer to the shelf and everything. But we now have many of Zach's friends hanging out watching the stream. So that is very cool and appreciated. 4 has to go somewhere in box 7, I am being told. I agree with the assessment that I should put a 4 somewhere. Let's see. This isn't a 9 anymore, I see now. So this is 4, 6, or 8. Oh, wait. These sum to 7, so they're 4, 3, or 6, 1. 4 in column 4. Ah, wow. 4 in column 4 is here. That's a great spot to Constanza. So this is not a 4 and is odd. And these two are therefore one of each, I guess. So this is a 2, 6, or 8, and this is a 2, 6, or 8. Yeah, 4 in row 2 is definitely over in one of these two cells. Oh, this is blue by line. I just never colored. So this is a 4, 6, 8 triple, which is huge because it means this cell's orange because it sees every even. Thank you to, I think it was Medhi there, seeing that. So that is orange. These are one of each orange and blue. For what it is worth. This is a 4, 6, or 8. Let's see. Row 6, column 5 is not 4 by math. Right, you can't put a 4 in a 3 cell 22 cage. Sven will kindly tell you that. I'm being told row 9, column 7 is a 4. I don't think I see how I know that this is a 4. I guess the 4 in the column is only in one of those two spots. Row 2 and 3, column 9 have to be the same color. So row 3. Right. Okay, so if these were both orange, it would be the last orange for each row and column and would make both of these blue, which would break. Because there's only one orange left in each of these rows. And one of these is orange. So therefore, there's not two oranges left. These are both blue. Whichever way you want to argue that is cool. So that's a great spot there to Constanza. So no 2 there. This is a 6 or an 8. That's the last blue for the row. So this cell is orange. This row has all of its oranges, so these are blue. This cage needs an extra orange. This is orange because of the line. This is 6 or 8. This is 6 or 8, so therefore this is a 2. By the row. Now I think I can find that 4 in this column that Franz said before, because now the only space for a 4 in this column really is here. So no 4s go in this box. Let's see. So one of these two is a 4. Oh, this column has all of its oranges, Selena's pointing out. So those are both blue. Da-dee-dee-da-dee-da. So now this box has all of its blues, so those are both orange. Yes, 2 in box 2 goes here, Nordy points out, making this orange. So this can't possibly be a 1, because this would need to be an 11. So this is a 7, which makes that a 5. Which makes that a 5 by Sudoku, makes that a 1 by Sudoku. We do need an orange song. So that 6-8 pair looks down, making that a 2 by Sudoku. This is a 6 or an 8, and that's a 6 or an 8, and that's a 6 or an 8, just for whatever it is worth. This is an odd 10 cage. It's known to be 1-9, D-Web points out, because it doesn't have a 7 in it. So therefore that's a 3 and that's a 9. These are some assorted odd numbers. You know an orange cell is not 6 or 8. Come on. These aren't 1 or 9, so these are a 3-7 pair. So these aren't 3 or 7. They're a 1-9 pair, which means these are a 3-7. I did that in a really convoluted way, but whatever. 1, 3, 7 go in those cells. 2 in box 9 is placed here. Multiple people in chat are pointing out. Good spot, just by Sudoku, nothing else, nothing fancy. That gives me oranges for the rest of the row. And now that's got to be orange as well, so that the 18 cage sums to an even number, which is rather important for 18 cages. These are now summing to 16 as 2 odds, so they have to be 7, 9, which makes that a 3 and that a 7. Also, summing to 16 as 2 evens doesn't work, so that is also a relevant feature to keep in mind. So this isn't a 7 anymore. Good spot to Sarah. This being a 3 or a 7, it means that this is a 3 or a 7, which means that these are a 1-9 pair. Row 6 still needs its 4, and it can't go there, so its 4 goes here. Uh, so that's the last even for the row. So that cell is odd. So I need one more odd and one more even for this column somewhere. 4 in box 5 would like to be filled. Ah, there's a 6-8 pair. Thank you, Melkor, for your patience. So that's a 4 and that's a 3. Makes that a 7 and that a 3 and that a 7. If there's no 7 in here, there's no 5 either. So those are a 3-9 pair, which makes that a 1 and that a 9. Yeah, so now there's no 3 or 4 in here either. But I guess we still don't quite know what's happening with that cage. It's still a little bit of a mystery. This column has all of its evens, so that's odd. The box still needs another even, so that's even. So this is a 6 or an 8 by the row. And so this is a 4 by the column. So we've got all of that. The bet tree is odd by the column. Let's not get too excited, but we get that. So these are all from 159. Except that one's not a 1. This one's not a 9, actually. This one's not a 1 either, or a 9, actually. This one's a 5, so that actually does all of those, making that a 9 and a 1. Okay, so now there's definitely... this is where the 1 goes. These are... where does 9 go in column 6? It can only go there. So therefore, that's a 7. And so we get to solve the equation 1 plus 7 plus x equals 14, which I think is 6, is the answer, I think. 6, 8. I figure there's like a 50-50 chance I got that one right. 7 and 9. This one is not a 1. That one's not a 7. This is a 1 or a 5. Actually, it's only a 5. Because it sees every other odd digit somehow. So that places the 5 in this box, doing all of that work, which comes back and makes that a 7. I guess that was a 1-3 pair, and I just didn't notice. This is a 1 or a 7. Let's see. These are a something-something pair. They're a 3-5 pair. So this is now a 1 or a 7, and it's not a 7, so it's a 1, and that's a 7. This now is a 3 or a 5. Oh, I see that Sven is telling me that this has become a 6, so that's going to help with the 6-8ing. It's a 1 and a 9. It's a 6 and an 8. Probably I could just place the last 6 over here. If I try really hard, yeah, it goes there. So that's the 6 for this box, which means that's the last even in the puzzle. So that's an 8. So we've now done all the evens, so we just have to finish up the odds. I probably can figure out what this is by the column. It's a 7. So these are the remaining odds. 1, 3, 5. This is a 1 or a 3, and it's not a 1, so it's a 3 and a 1 and a 3, like that. Yeah, Jim, I like parity lines. I've only really tended to see them in Mr.Menace puzzles, but Jay Dyer said she has a puzzle with them. This by the row is a 1 or a 5, but it's not a 5, so it's a 1. So that's a 5 and a 3 and a 1 and a 5 and a 3. And I think I picked a very good betting tree this time, because it is the last digit filled without even really working too hard, and it is a 5. So congratulations to all the 5 bettors out there. May all your betting tree wishes come true. Wonderful, wonderful puzzle, Mr. Menace. Excellent, excellent choice. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there of sort of noticing a lot of different things. Like I really liked Tall Cat noticing that these were different right away, and then sort of being able to sort of carry on the coloring a bit without knowing what color was which, and then eventually figuring out the stuff about the coloring. All really cool stuff, actually. Alrighty. Yeah. Parity puzzles often sort of become a like, oh, let me do the blue Sudoku and the orange Sudoku separately. Yeah, that definitely has happened in this puzzle. Is like, oh yeah, there we go. We get to do the blue, and then we get to do the orange. Then everything all hangs together nicely. Alrighty, I'm gonna take a quick break, stretch, and I will be back in just a moment. Alrighty, welcome back. Have a knewt puzzle up next. This is a 159 puzzle. I have said before that I sort of was really into 159 when it came out, but then got a little tired of it. But I now haven't done one in a while, so it's a good time to do an indexing puzzle again, because I have gone many months now without doing an indexing puzzle on the channel. The way that 159 works, that's this. Anytime you see this sort of pink stripage like this, it is usually a 159 puzzle. And the way it works is that the digit here in this column tells you where the 1 is in the row. So if this is a 7, it's telling you that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells in, there's a 1. And notice, it's a 159 because only the digits 1, 5, and 9 have that little indexing thing. So if this was a 2, it would now be saying that this digit was a 5. And if this was an 8, it would now be saying that that digit is a 9. That's how these work. Carl has been going through all of my my puzzles, and recently did Fishy, which is my 159 between line puzzle, which I think might be my hardest puzzle. I believe. I'm not sure. I'll be curious after Carl does them all, what Carl thinks was the hardest one, but I think that might be it. So we have that, and then we have killer, and the killer thing here is cute, which is that they don't give us the totals, but the totals can only include the digits 1, 5, and 9, and one of the digits in the total has to appear in the cage. So, for example, this has to be a 1, 5, or a 9. And so one of these cells has to be a 4 to index this cell, whichever one it happens to be. Alrighty, so I guess we can immediately say that, well, Carl down to only 4. Miami, Berlin, Medusa, and vignettes. I think Berlin is not too bad if you notice the thing, and it's really, 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 really bad if you don't notice the thing. This digit has to be odd because both of these cages have odd totals because their totals are made up of the digits 1, 5, 9. So this is 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. 2 to 10th definitely did a lot of 159s. Navarro does have lingering Berlin trauma, although probably that's probably like the third most traumatized Navarro has been from one of my puzzles. Although I don't know which was the worst out of that or the one that yeah, so I guess that's a good point, is that the maximum these could possibly sum to is 19. Because I'm certainly not making a 50-something total. So if this is summing to a maximum of 19, and this is summing to a maximum of 19, this has to be at least a 7. Also, there has to be a high digit in here. And that's because whichever of these indexes the 9 into this box has to be, or sorry, whichever of them indexes the 1 into this box has to be a 7, 8, 9. So the absolute minimum sum of these 3 digits is 147. And 147 is already 12. And so these 2 digits sum to at most 7. I guess that's not so exciting. Yeah, the L cage definitely isn't 15. The L cage is definitely 19. I agree the L cage is 19. I don't see why this one... Oh, wait, right. So 15 plus 19 is too small, is the point. Yeah, 15 plus 19 is still too small. Somehow in my brain I was convinced that 15 would be okay because of math, but no. 15 plus 19 is not large enough. So somehow this 7 is like the mysterious 7 from Reef has reappeared in a completely different form. Yes. So this is so this digit is a 7, and we get to bring out Zach for the 7 dance. Thank you, Zach. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't have a bet tree. Let's do a bet tree up there. Yeah, I can't put an 11 in this cage, sadly. Okay, so we've got that, and so one of these, of course, contains a 1, and one of them contains a 9. The 17 cage can't be the one that contains a 9, because remember, one of the digits of the total has to appear in the cage. One of the 159s, yeah, one of the digits from the total. I can't put a 9 in here, because then it would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and oh, maybe I could have... Could I have 1, 2, 3, 4? Maybe I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. No, I can't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 because then I have no digit to put over here. And I need a 1 or a 9 in each of these cages. So that doesn't work. So the 9 can't go in here. So the 9 has to go in here somewhere. The 1 has to go in here somewhere, not there. So this is a 9 and 2 digits that add to 10, which aren't 3 and 7. So there's a 3 over here. And of course, the 1 and 3 aren't both in this column. And so we either need to put in here... Oh, and there's no 5 in there either. So there's definitely a 5 in this cage as well. And so we either have a 4, 6 or a 2, 8 in here. Oh, but I can't do 4, 6 for a funny reason. Sorry, I have to put the 4, 6 here, is the point. If I put the 4, 6 here, then the problem is I don't have a high digit in here at all. And I need a high digit in here, and the only high digit available is 8. That's a much more elegant way of saying it than the way I was going to say it. I was about to say it in a much worse way. So there's an 8 in here, and there's a 2 here, and these digits are both from 1, 2, 3. These digits are 4, 6, 9. I don't know why I have these corner marked. I should pencil mark these. These are 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. 5, 8. Now, this one can't be a 2 or a 3, and this one can't be a 2 or a 3 for sure. And so we've got all of that. So the 9 here. Yeah, the 5 and 8 both index a 1. So the 5 is in here, and it's going to index a 1 into this cage. The 8 is also going to index a 1 into this column, not into that cage necessarily, maybe. So got that. So these aren't 2 or 3. So the 2 and 3, at least, we can say are out of these cells. There's a 2 and a 3 in this row. I'm trying to decide if there's any sort of forbidden combinations down here. I don't think so. But there might be. It's being claimed the sum here is 15. Because 19 is too big, right? and a single digit is too small. Is 11 an option? I think 11 is an option. Unless there's a reason why I can't make it 11. No, 11 is too small because at minimum I need 1, 4, and 7 because of the entropic thing. So again, just if you've not seen these puzzles before, the key deduction, it's actually the only deduction, is that always one of these three has to be from 1, 2, 3, one from 4, 5, 6, and one from 7, 8, 9. That's what people in chat are calling entropy, because these are usually called the entropies to contrast them with the high-lowities. I think they chose the word entropy to rhyme with high-lowity. So the reason for that, again, is because whatever this digit is, one of them goes in this box, one of them goes in this box, and one of them goes in this box, because Sudoku, and so you end up with this. But then the point is, I can't make the total of this cage 11, because the minimum I could do is 1, 4, and 7, which is already 12. So these do have to add to 15, but they add to 15 with a 1, which means I need 2 digits that add to 14. And so those are either going to be 5, 9, or 6, 8. And so people are claiming it's not 5, 9. Because if it's 1, 5, because I need a 1, 5, or a 9 in this cage, right? Because one of the digits from the total has to appear in the cage, and so this certainly is a 15 or a 19. So it definitely needs a 1, 5. It definitely needs a 1, 5, or 9. So this is not 1, 5, 9. This is 1, 6, 8. That's very clever. Okay, so this is a 1, 6, 8 sort of thing. So one of these is that there's a 5 over here, one of them is telling me there's a 5 over here, and one of them is telling me that there's a 5 over here, which certainly tells me there's a 9 in this cage, because this cage needs to have a 1, 5, or 9 in it, and so this must be a 9 and 2 digits that add to 10, for whatever that is worth. Also, this cage has to have a 9 in it for the same reason. Because it needs to have a 1, 5, or a 9 and doesn't have any choices, because the 1 and the 5 are gone. People are pointing out this cage definitely sums to 15, because I can't actually, even if I maximize it, I don't have enough to get to 19, because 3, 6, 9 is not enough. 3, 6, 9 is only 18, and I need to get to 19. So this cage has to be 15, and so that means there's a 5 in it for sure, which means that, oh, nothing about that. Yeah, so there's a 5 in it and 2 digits that add to 15, or add to 10, so it has to be 3, 7, because 1, 9, 2, 8, and 4, 6 are all gone. So this is 3, 5, 7. The 3 means that there's a 5 over here. The 7 means that there is a 5 over here. Dangerous. So these digits are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 4, and 9, which means there's a 5 over here for whatever that's worth. And a 5 in this cage. And a 5 over here for what it's worth. So we've got all of that going on. So the point, so Selena's point is this cage needs to sum to 15 by our same math that we've been doing, which I didn't think was relevant, but it is relevant because now the 5 is gone, and so there has to be a 1 in it. Oh, and now this digit is a 1 or a 5 for sure, by the way, because the 1, 5, and 9 in the box are distributed like this. This one has to be the 1 or the 5. So either that is 8 or that is 8, for whatever that is worth. Okay. So this is a 1 together with 2 digits that sum to 14, so it is 1, 6, and 8 again, because it can't be 1, 5, and 9 because of the 5 down there. So this is 1, 6, 8. And so the 6 is telling me that there's a 9 here. The 1 is telling me that there's a 9 over there. And so now I know the high digit in these cells is a 7 because of that. Yeah, Gary, and a 249 cage sums to 15, and neither the 1 nor the 5 is in it. Okay, so yes. The point is the 8 here. A few people are pointing out the 8 gives me that there's a 9 in one of these 3 cells, but there's also a 9 in one of these 3 cells, and so therefore that has to be a 9, and that's an 8. And these two, I guess, can sum to their choice of 10. Actually, no, I think they just have to sum to 10. Because they can't include a 1 or a 5. So the total has to be 19, and so these need to sum to 10. They're not 1, 9, or 5, 5, which is good to know. There's definitely a 4 in these cells because I need a middle digit in these cells, and the 6 is up here, the 5 is here, so the 4 is here, and that 4 is pencil marking a 9 over into these cells, which means this cell is never going to be a 9 for whatever that is worth. Right, this... Oh, no, not quite. Either of these can still be an 8, I believe. That's not a 9. One of those two is a 9, though. Let's see. This cage also must be summing to 19. And so if this cage is summing to 19, it's not 4, 6, or 1, 9. So it is 2, 8, or 3, 7 again. Right. This cage can't... this cage can sum to 15 or 19. But it needs a... Okay, it can sum to 15 or 19, but if it's 19, it needs a 1. If it sums to 15, then this being a 5 is too big. So there's a weird case argument that this can't ever be a 5. Because if this is a 5, then it doesn't have a 1 in it, and I need to make it sum to 15, which would require me making these 3 cells sum to 10, but 10 is too small because the minimum I could make them is 1, 4, 7, which is 12. So this is always a 1, making that an 8. Making that a 6, which makes that a 5. That felt very casey to me relative to the rest of the puzzle. I don't know if chat saw it more elegantly than I did. It's possible. Chat often sees things more elegantly than I do. These are a 4-9 pair. So I could try this being a 9 and see if that's going to be a little ridiculous. If this is a 9, then I would need these two. Right, if this is a 9, I now need the total to either be 15 or 19, but that would make these either 1, 4, which they can't be, or 4 or 5, which they can't be. Yeah. So I can't have a 9 here. So it's a 4. Also, there was a corner marked 9. That would have also been a much easier way to do that. That would not have involved doing the sorts of things that I just did. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 7. Oh, did I just mismark this row? This row is a 4, 7, 9. And what we just proved is that this is not a 9. So we also have to check whether this can be a 7. So if this is a 7, Then I've got a 7 and a 4. It would have to go with a 2, 3. So 7 plus 4 is 11. Plus 1 is... 7 plus 4 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. That would leave 3. Yeah, that seems plausible. I guess. The 3 could only go there. Oh, there definitely is a 7 in here, right? There's always a 7 in here, regardless. And the 7's not there. So, yeah, so this is always a 1, 4, 7, 3 or 1, 4, 7, 7 cage. And it's probably not a 1, 4, 7, 7 cage. So these are 4, 7, and 3. That's not a 7. Okay, so that's true. So now this is a 9, which makes that a 7, which makes that a 4. One of these is a 3, and it's not that one, because it would put a 9 there. So that's a 4, and that's a 3, which places a 9 there. Places a 9 there. So that's a 6 and a 4 now. So we've got all of that. So there's a few digits left over here. I know that these are not 5. Right, so these need to sum to 19 now, and so so that needs to not be that. So that now is a 5. This is a 6. That 5 now is indexed by that 8 and that 1, which makes that 2, and that 8 makes that 1 and that 5. Can pencil mark this box as well. That has become a 3. While we are at it. So these digits are now known. We might as well fill them in. They do not involve a 1 or a 6. They are 2, 5, and 9, just for the record. Which means one of these up here is a 2. Okay, so the 2 here means that there's a 9 over here. 5 means there's a 9 there. The 9 is the 9 over here. So in this box, there's a 5 and a 9. So that 5 and 9 could be joined by a 1. Or, oh, it has to be joined by a 1, because the other option is it's joined by a 5, right? If this is either summing to 15 or 19, but if it's summing to 19, it's a 5, a 9, and another 5. And I'm probably not doing the one that requires another 5. So this is 1, 5, and 9, which means that one of these is a 2. Which means that one of these is a 3. Which means that one of these is a 1. And so... So there's a 4 or a 6 over here. Oh, but there's a 4 because of that 5. So these are 2, 4, 7. Because the 4 tells me the 5 is in this column, but I seem to already know the 5 is in this column. So these are 3, 6, 9. Like that. No, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works, because that's a column 1. Right. 5 is not the same as 1. Right, this is in column 1. Right, not the 5. Darn it. But was going to be very helpful. If these are 1 and 5, I don't think it works. If these are 1 and 5, then I need the total. I need this to be a 9 or a 13, neither of which is possible. So these are not 1 and 5, so this digit's always 1 or 5 is part of it. That's a good point from Carl. I know that 3 in this box is not over here because there's a 2 over here. So 3 is over here, which then gives me the 2 and the 3 down there, which makes this a known triple. Because remember, it is not 1, 5, or 9. These are 2, 7, and 8. So we've got all of those. This total, this total is going to have to be 15. Maybe it's 19. It could be 19 as long as there's a 1 in it. Oh, no. It can't be 19 because there'd have to be a 1 in it, but then it would need to be joined by 2 9s. So this cage total is definitely 15. And so if that's 15 plus 7 is 22 plus 9 is 31, and that's 33, that means these three sum to 12. That doesn't seem super interesting to me, if I'm being honest. Let's see. 8 in box 6, I am being encouraged to contemplate. The 8 cannot go in this cage because it would want to go with a 2, and the 2's already gone. So, in fact, that's an 8. That's very smart. That's right. This cage can't sum to 15 because it doesn't have a 1 or a 5 in it. So it needs to sum to 19. So these two need to sum to 10. So they'd better be 3 7 because the other options are gone. Oh no, it could be 4 6. This is 4 6 or 3 7. No, it's not 4 6 because there's a 6 in the column already. So it's 3 7. So these are known. So these are not 3 or 7. They're not 5 either. Those are 1, 4, and 6. These are a 2 4 pair. Let's see. If there's a 9 into 5 in this cage, does it get too big? There's a 9 and a 5. Those sum to 14 already. And then we've got at least 2 more. 9 and 5 is 14, plus 2 is 16. We need the 3 as well. So I'd need to have a 3 in one of these two cells. That sounds plausible, unfortunately. Yeah, it does just work. Sadly. Oh, 3 is definitely in this cage for what it's worth. So this cage definitely does have a 3. This is now going to turn out I'm trying to prove the wrong thing, and it needs a 9, because if it doesn't have a 9, it's not getting big enough. Because now if it doesn't have a 9, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 exactly. Oh, no, I don't know that there's a 5 in it. Never mind. Okay, that's smart. We've got a Jovi wing D-Web points out on 3s, because 3 got pushed into one of these two cells, and 3's already in one of these two cells. So that consumes the 3 for row 4 and the 3 for row 5. So therefore, this is a 3. Okay, so that lets me do more outie math, because I think I know that this cage sums to 15, right? Do I know that this cell sums to 15? I knew what this cage summed to before. Maybe it sums to 19. I'm not sure. But I now know an additional digit, so it seems like I should think about the math in this column again. Right. Oh, it could sum. This one could sum to 11. I think this one can sum to 11. I think that's true. See, I don't think I know anything about this one. I'm going to fill in these cells. These are not 1 or 5. So I guess I can just exhaust over the options. So these sum to 10, 21. 21 plus 11 would be 32. I would need these to sum to 13, and they can. 21 plus 15 is 36, I would need these two to sum to 9. Which they can. And they sum, if it's 19, then 19 plus 21 is 40. I'd need these two to sum to 5, which they can. So I don't think we get anything interesting out of that. Oh, right. I do know it doesn't sum to 19. Because 19 would require a 1 and 2 9s. So yeah, so this is never a 19. So it's either 15 or 11. That's true. I will concur with that. Okay, so Malcor claims this always works out to be 8. Or sorry, this always works out to be 8. Okay, so let's do the cases again. So 11 and 15. Okay, Malcor has retracted, so we don't have to do the cases. I'm somewhat grateful. It turns out I don't have to do the cases. So yeah, so one of all of those is 3. It can't be 6. If this were 6, then if this were 6, then so what are the two things that these can sum to? 45 minus 21 is 24 minus 15 is 9 or 13, and so this is never a 6 if these two are summing to 9 or 13. Josh noticed a thing over here that I was close to noticing but did not quite notice. Wait. I think Josh is backwards. Because if there's no 9 here... Oh, no. No, Josh is right. If there's no 9 here, then it does force this to be 2, 3, 4, 5. Because the 4 indexes the 5 into one of these two cells. The only way I get out of putting a 5 here is if that's a 4. So there is a 9 in one of these two cells, meaning that that's not a 9. So if that's not a 9, it tells me that's not a 5, at least. So we've got that. So if there is a 9 in it, the total must be 19. So 9 plus 3 is 12. So it's 2-digit. So it's a 9 and a 9 and a 5 with 2 digits that sum to 6. So those must be 2 and 4, and that's broken. Somehow I've screwed this up. Because this is now broken. Oh, 9 and 3. 9 and 3, right? 3 is the thing I know. 9 and 3, which sum to 12. And so, the remaining thing needs to sum to either 3 or they need to sum to either 3 or 6. Right. 9 and 3 is 12. So 15 would mean I need 2 digits to sum to 3. If the sum is 19, then 9 and 3 is 12. I need 2 digits that sum to 7. So I have either 2 digits that sum to 7 or 2 digits that sum to 3. So and I think the version where this cage sums to 19, I think doesn't work. Because if I'm trying to sum... No, sorry. I just can't put a 4 here, I guess, is the more elegant way to say this. I was seeing this, but yeah, the way this is phrased over there is nicer. If I try and make 4 one of the digits I'm adding, then I'm obviously summing to 7, because I can't add a -1, but the digit I need to add would need to be a 3, and I can't. So, therefore, this is a 4, which means that's a 5. And now this needs to be a 3 with a 1 in order to make that work. So now this is summing to 15, but it has a 1, so it's okay. It's 2 and this 9. So these we can fill in. They are not 9 or 2 or 1. They're 6, 7, 8. That looks down there, making that a 2 and that a 7. Which lets me fill in all of these cells. So these are not 6, 7, or 8. So these now include a 1, a 4, and a 9, which sum to 14. So this, funnily enough, is now... Oh, it can't be a 1. It has to be a 5, because I would repeat 1 in the cage if I didn't make that a 5. Which then makes that a 7 by indexing, makes that a 1, which makes that a 3 by indexing, makes that a 6, makes that a 9 by indexing, makes that a 1, makes that a 4 and a 1. That 1 makes that a 6 by indexing, makes that a 9 by indexing. These are a 2, 7 pair, which makes that an 8, that a 2, that a 4, that a 2, that a 7. So these are a 5 and something. 5 and a 4, apparently, in that order. Makes that a 3 by indexing, that a 5. That an 8 and a 6. Hopefully this worked out. It did work out. So can go ahead and write in those cells, write in those cells. These are all naked singles, so that is an 8, that is a 6. That's not a 6, not an 8, not a 6. So the 1 here is going either the 2nd or the 7th spot. Let's see, I did row 1, column 2 incorrectly. Did I? I said I had a 2, 7 pair when I didn't. Oh, I don't have a 2, 7 pair, you're right. You're completely right. So that is a 2 and a 4. That's not a 2, that's not a 7. These aren't 1, these aren't 7. You can at least still fill in this triple. There's a 3 that looks up here, so that makes that a 2 and an 8. And there's a 3 in the box, making that a 6, making that a 7 and a 2 and an 8. So somehow, again, I am lucky and get the thing that I said it was anyway, even though not for any good reason. So we can fill in these. So that is a 5 and a 4 and a 3 and a 5. And an 8 and a 6. So this is not an 8, that's not a 6, that's not a 6. So this can still be a 2 or a 9. One of these is definitely a 5 to index that 9. One of these is definitely a 9 to index that 5. There's some indexing nonsense going on that I've missed in one of these rows, I'm sure. Or that there's a 6, 7 pair there. That might help a tiny bit. Does not help at all. That is an 8, though. What is the dumb indexing thing that I'm missing? Let's see. Where is it? One of these is a 7. This is a 1, that's a 4. This is a 1, that's a 4. Ah, this is a 1, that's a 4. Doesn't work because of that cell. Because if this is a 1, it makes that a 4, which then breaks that cell. So actually, that's the 1 and the 4. Just the kind of 159 thing that's cute the first time you see it, and then is heinous every subsequent time you see it. So that 1 there means that's a 7, and that's a 2, so that's a 1, and a 9, and a 5, and a 9, and a 2, and a 4, and a 7, and a 3, and a 2, and a 9, and a 5. This digit, 3, 4, 5, 6, is a 7, 2, and this tree is a 3. Congratulations to all of the 3-betters. May all your betting tree wishes come true. That is a nice way to think about it, Selena, is you can just read the pencil mark as 1 is not in 4. That's a nice way to think about it. That makes it seem a little less fish expedition-y than the sort of like, I'm just going to try plugging in things until I see something breaks. It makes it a little bit more constructive. So that is a nice way to think about it. Alrighty, I'm going to take a quick break and come back, and we'll do probably one more puzzle. So I'll be back in just a moment. So see everyone in just around the corner. Oh, I realized I should say, by the way, I liked this puzzle a lot. This was fun. I'm glad I did my requisite quarterly 159. This was a good choice of a quarterly 159. So I will be back. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. We've got a virtual and grkles puzzle up next, which looks like a vanilla XV puzzle, but then when you read it carefully, you see that it is a slightly off XV puzzle because the V's don't sum to 5, they sum to either 4 or 6, and the X's don't sum to 10, they sum to either 9 or 11. So we've got to do some interesting stuff here. So for example, this string of V's would not be possible in an ordinary puzzle. I think the first thing I want to do, you did miss the indexing, I am sorry to say, is mark that every V has to be from at most 5. Because that seems like a good thing to notice, and I notice it gives us a few, well, it gives us at least one quintuple. Because these digits here now, oh, there's a V in row 5 I missed. Ah, yes. This row now has a 6, 7, 8, 9 left over because of Oople math. I should put down a bet tree somewhere, by the way. My bet tree is going to go there. Now, there's some interesting arrangements here. Like, this arrangement is going to do something interesting, and this arrangement is going to do something interesting. So, this, let's start with this one. I know that these don't both sum to 4 or both sum to 6. So one sums to 4 and one sums to 6. That already means this can't be a 4 or a 5 in order to make that work. And so it could... Oh, and the one of them that sums to 4 has to be 1, 3, because it's the only way to make 4. So one of these is a 1 or a 3. The other is a 1 or a 3 for the 4. Oh, 3 doesn't even work. Because in order to get to 6 from 3, you need 3 plus 3. So actually, weirdly enough, this digit just has to be a 1. And so we get to do like an almost immediate 1 dance. That was weird logic, and I liked it. Ba-boop-ba-doo, woo! Ba-doop-ba-doo, woo! Ba-doop-ba-doo, woo! Ba-doop-ba-doo, woohoo! Thank you, Zach. Thank you. So, again, one of these is 3 and one of them is 5. So these are not 2 or 4. So these are a 3-5 pair. So this X needs to have an odd sum. So it needs to have n odd digit on it. So it either has a 7 or a 9 on it, I suppose. I guess now this V I know sums to 6 because it doesn't sum to 4. And it can only sum to 6 now as 2, 4. As 2, 4. Owing to the 1 in the row. So those aren't 2 or 4. Right, and so... Oh, I know there's a 1 in here, but 1, 3 and 1, 5 both work. So there's a 1 over here. So Josh is looking at parity, and so the thing we know is that V's have an even sum. So if I highlight those, I'm currently at even. No, that's maybe not. I want it so even, even, odd. So the remaining 3 here. Yeah, let's see. What if we do the 4 X's instead? Right, those. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be interesting. So that X and that X and that X and that X. That's 4 X's, each of which has an odd sum. So in total, that's an even sum. So that means this digit must be odd. It's not 2 or 4. This, therefore, must also be odd because the sum of these two is even. And this must be even. And, in fact, at least 4 in order to make this work. And now this must be odd because, again, the sum here is odd. And I know there's a 1 on this. Yeah, we can probably start just coloring and make it make this easier on ourselves. So that's probably easier. All of these are orange. So the other V can't have a 1. So the other V must sum to 6 and must be 2, 4. So we actually just know what this is. We don't even have to think about parity. We just know it's 2, 4, which then makes both of these orange. These are blue, and that's orange. These are orange, and that's blue. Let's see. So, got... Yeah, and so one of these must be a 9. Because whichever of these is a 2, it has to go with a 9. So this is not a 9. And whichever of them is a 4 then has to go with a 7. Because I no longer have numbers big enough, so that's not a 7 here. This certainly can't be a 1 anymore. Oh no, it could be a 1, because 1 plus... Wait, sorry, you're right. In my brain, I'm assuming these things all go with 11. All add to 11, but they could add to 9. Sorry, I've screwed something up here. Yeah, I don't need the 9 up here, I don't think. Sorry, Selena's right. Good catch. This is not a 4, though, so this is a 6 or an 8. Right. This still can't be 7 or 9 anyway, because neither 7 nor 9 add to 9 or 11 with 6 or 8. So there's still a 7-9 pair here, but for completely different reasons than the reasons I tried to make it there. Ambrose points out. Yeah, and one of these is a 1. One only goes with 8. But 3 or 5 will go with 6 just fine. If this is an 8, yeah, okay, yeah. That's a good spot. This is not an even V, because the only even V is 2, 4. So this is an odd V. So these are from 1, 3, 5, which means this is even, which means this is even as well. And as an even V, this must just be 2, 4. So this V now is not even, it's odd. So these are both even through the weird magic of parity. And so this V needs a 1 on it as an odd V, and the 1 doesn't go there. So the 1 goes there. And so the 1 on this V goes here. And so these are a 3, 5 pair going on here. 1 only goes with 8 on that line. So that is... So yeah, the 1 on an X only goes with 8, because 10 is too big. I think all of that was right. There's a 1 going up here somewhere. Oh no, your computer is being mean to YouTube. Yes. 3 plus 2 or 4 does not get to enough, is a smart spot. So this is, so in fact, actually I have to maximize these to get it to even work. So 3. And now this has to be a 6, which is now maximized. So that's a 5, and that's a 3. There's a 3 over here as well. Okay, there was some good spotting from chat there. And so now that's a 2. And that's a 4. 4 plus 5 is not possible because there's a 5. So now this is actually 4 plus 7 available. So now this is neither 2 nor 4, so these are both odd. So these are from 1, 3, 5, which together with that makes a 1, 3, 5 triple. So that means that's not 1 or 3. So these are a 1, 3 pair. That's a hidden 1, 3 in the box. Clever. Clever, clever, Mr. Setters. Or Mr. Mrs. whoever Setters. So this has the last odd on it for the row, because this is every X is an odd and an even, and there's only one more odd. So there's a 7 or a 9 here, and it goes with 2 blues for the rest of the row. Right, and so there's a blue here with a 7 or a 9. If it's a 9, it 100% goes with a 2. If it's a 7, it goes with 2 or 4. Don't really know a whole lot more than that, but we can say it. There's a 1 looking at the 1, 3 pair. That's very helpful. So that's a 3, and that's a 1. Thank you. Thank you to Pretia. Pretia? You can tell me in chat if I am at all close. 1, 5, making that a 3. The 1... Yeah, the 1 only goes with an 8. Yeah, whichever one of these is a 1 goes with the 8. But then... but I can't put 5 with an 8. I think it really works either way, but I will not be shocked if it turns out I am wrong. This is a 6 or an 8. Over here, I probably should at some point think about this string. The biggest this digit can be is 5. Just because of the whole thing. So this is a 2, 4, or 5. I'm just going to notice. 5 is just placed in this box by Sudoku because of these 1, 5 pairs looking over. So this is a 5. So there's a 5 down here somewhere. Yeah, 1 in row 9. That is a good spot to Carl. 1 in row 9 goes on an X. Well, it doesn't go on 2 X's. So 1 in row 9 is on one of these flanges, which means that the flanges are odd and the center is even. And the center had better be an 8. And so, in fact, the things that go with 8 are 1 and 3. That was a great spot to Carl. So, yes, that means there's a 3 over in one of these 2 cells. This weirdly can only be 6 or 9, I think. Don't really want to mark it, but I think that's true. So these are 2, 4, 5 now. I guess maybe I should mark these, given that they can't be 2, 4, or 5. Yep. Ah, 5 in row 9, sniping the bet tree. Terrible. So 5 in row 9 now has to go here. Congratulations to all the 5 bettors out there. May all your betting tree wishes come true. So let's see. So we can fill in. Now we can recklessly fill in all the rest of these. We've already lost. These aren't 3. These are 6, 7, 9. Oh, so right. So these are 6, 7, 9. And so these are 6, 7, 9. These are 3, 8. These aren't 7 or 9. So there is our roping, although we did not need to use that it was roped. So these are orange, and these are blue. At least I know that much. There's a single 7, 9 left to place in this column. Two could go with 7 or 9. 4 could go with 7. 5 could go with 6. Okay, there still are plenty of options for that that one. 4 is hiding in box 4. No 4 there. Okay, so 4 in row 5, this is, I think, the point. 4 in box 5 is definitely in one of these cells. And so I think what's being claimed is that 4 can't go on this X because it would have to go with a 5 or a 7. Why could it not go with a 7? I'm not sure. 4 in column 9, though, can only go here. I agree with that because there's a 4 in this box and there's a 4 in this box. So 4 can only go here. I agree. 4 in box 6. Okay, sorry. I think Josh said box 6, and I looked in box 4 anyway. So if the 4 is here, it's 4, 7. Otherwise, this is a 4. I don't know if that's a thing worth pursuing, but it's true. One of these is a 7 or a 9. When that 7 or 9 goes in one of these two, because it will make a Jovi wing. But I don't know if that's worth pursuing either. There's a 2 in one of these two cells. Also does not seem greatly worth pursuing. Okay, so this is on this X, is what Carl is having me point out. So it goes over here. Not quite interesting yet, but I was noticing there was some sort of stuff. Oh, yeah, your phone has learned to autocorrect names of cells to other cells. That is very helpful. Okay, so yeah, so Carl's question is, where does this go in row 5? And the answer is it goes there. So now where does it go in column 3? And now the answer is it goes there. That is, that's tricksy. So that is a 7 or a 9. The other 7, 9 in this box is on this X, so all of these are even. That was very slick, but very tricky. So this is a naked 6 now. So that's now a naked odd while we are at it, because it sees 2, 4, 6, and 8. So this is a 2 or a 4 for sure. Oh, 8 in box 1 definitely doesn't go up here, is Garian's point. That's true, because I know the remaining orange digit up here is a 7 or a 9. That will not go with an 8, so that's actually where the 8 goes. So that's actually a 6. 6 annoyingly goes with 3 or 5, but at least it places the 1, which places the 5, which places the 1 over here. Means that's not a 6 at least. 5, 7, or 9, just to keep track of that. Got 1 odd and 1 even here yet to go. And I know these are not 7 or 9, so whatever odds they are, whatever odds appear in here, they are 3 or 5. I know 8 is in one of these two cells, but I don't think that's going to help. Oh, this cell just can't be even, because this cell sees every even. It sees 2, 4, 6, and 8 in various complicated ways, so this cell's identically odd. So this cell's only 3 or 9. Oops. See. I don't think there's any more of these magic cells that see every digit, but who knows? Maybe there are. And I'm just not spotting them yet. So let's see. If this is odd, it's exactly a 3. Because of the 7-9 pair. Otherwise, it's exact. So this can only ever be a 3 or 8, I guess, because if this is even, it's an 8, and if it's odd, it's a 3. Which, funnily enough, means this isn't 3, 8. Although I guess I probably wasn't in much risk of that. 6 in column 2, asks Ambrose. So 6 in column 2 goes in one of these two cells. Do I know it's not that one somehow? Or no, it's not that one. Because 6 goes with 3 and 5, and 3 and 5 are gone. Right, so the 6 goes there. Very, very slick spotting. So that is an 8, and that's a 6. The 8 is what goes with the 1. Great spotting. So that probably gives us another cell that can't possibly be even, with like this one, which sees now 2, 4, 6, and 8. So that cell is now odd. So no 6 there, no 5 there. This is a 5, 7, or 9 as well. So yeah, one of those two is the 8. This cell sees every even, so it is odd. Let's see, there is an 8 in one of these two cells. Let's see. Yes. Feels like at some point we're going to get some pressure on this X, but it's surprisingly resilient. Yeah, there's a 7 or a 9 here. And of course, there's a 2 or a 4 up here. This is only a 7 or a 9. I should probably mark just in case I start collecting. See, I could just mark this cell just to have it marked, because it's only 5, 8, 9. I can mark this one just to have it marked, because it's only 7, 8, 9. Let's see, I think Garian says this is quite restricted. It's only 2, 4, or 9. about this one? So this one, remember, I know is not 7 or 9 because of the row. The only odd it can be is 5. Ah, there's a 7-9 pair in column 4, because this has become orange, which places an 8. Okay, that's huge. It is much better than what I was about to look at. So let's do that. So now that's an 8. So now this is a naked 2. So this is a 4 or 8, just for the record. This cell sees every even, so it's odd. Now, so this is a 3 or a 9. Oh, no, this is only a 9. It sees every odd except 9, so that's a 7. This is the remaining blue for the row, so it's a 2, making that 4 and a 2, which makes that an 8. Makes that a 6, and that orange, and that orange. 7. Making that a 3 and a 5 and a 9. Making these a 5 and a 7, which means that's not a 5, so it's now blue. Oops, that's not really what I wanted to do. Makes that blue, although it still has options. This X now has a 4, which could go with... Oh, 4 can't go with 9. 4 can only go with 7, so this is a 4-7 pair. Which now gives me a Jovi wing on 7s, placing a 7 there, and also, more straightforwardly, a 9 here and a 7 here. 9 still can't go with 4, so that's a 2 and that's a 4. That's a 9. 4, not a 2. That has become blue and orange. Like that. So these are not 4 anymore. Alternatively, they're both 4. Take your pick of which universe you want to live in. This I should know what it is. It's odd. It's not a 7, so it's a 9. Can fill in these. So the important thing is I can color them now. So there's a 3, a 6, and an 8. 9 in column 5 can only apparently go here now, weirdly. Good spot. To Sarah there. So yeah, so 2, 5, 6, 7 business. What is left for this X is 2, 4, and 9. Well, it's not... This is a 4 or a 9, so this can't be a 4 or a 9, or it would be a 4, 9, and 4 and 9 don't add to 9 or 11. So this is always a 2. Which makes that a 4 and that orange. Good spot to JLib, so that's a 9 and a 6. Meaning this is orange and blue. Meaning this is orange and blue. Meaning this is blue. So we can chase that 7, 9, 7, 4, 7. 7 doesn't go with 5. 5 is also not blue. So that's a 6. This is the last blue for the box. That's orange. So 4, 5, 5, 7. We can go ahead and mark up these remaining cells. And so these will both become orange. These will both become blue. And we'll have finished our coloring. So that is a 4 and a 2. And that is a 3 and a 1. Oh, and a 3 and a 1. You could tell I thought I was done, but I was not. Excellent, excellent puzzle. It's been a while since we've done a grkles puzzle on stream, but I very much enjoyed that one. So thank you very much for hanging out for the stream today. This has been a fun series of puzzles. I liked that one a lot. We've done we've gotten through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puzzles in one day. That is that is a lot for us lately. So yeah, thank you everyone for hanging out. Big thank you to Screaming Ice Cube for becoming a windmill, and Neil for becoming a fan. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Congratulations to all of you who won Bet Trees today. The 13 bettors I know lost out again and are waiting to have their big day in the sun again. It'll probably be a while. But thank you to everyone who supports the stream. However you do that. One way to do that is to like the stream if you have not yet liked the stream. It really helps people sort of find the channel. I still fairly often get messages from people who sort of found out about the stream and then went back and started going back and watching almost 200 streams that we have done so far. So if you like the streams, then that will help people find them and come across them and join our lovely little community. So thank you so much for all of your support. If you want to become a supporter, there are a few ways to do it, but perhaps the easiest is to click the join button down below. That's what YouTube would prefer you do anyway. And that will get you the green name that you see in chat. It'll get you access to the fancy Zach emotes, as well as the undying gratitude of Tristan and I. And at higher levels, it will get you access to like being able to see the bucket and vote on stuff and all of those sorts of things. At the top level, one of the benefits is that I will read your names at the end of stream, so I'll do that now. So thank you to the people who donate at the turbine level. So those are David, Nordy, Franco, Woofer, DDX, Daniel, Willie, Danita, and Nico. Thank you so much. I'll see all of you very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.